Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Shape Your Truth podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Kamika, and we talk about weight loss, we talk about self realization, and we talk about self development. And today I have with me, we have Freddy Jackson. He is a public speaker. He's a two-time baccalaureate and master's degree. He's on the board of YMCA. He has a book. He's an author, and he's just an all around. Seem like Manilio man, or how do you say it? Yeah, he does everything. So we got a great guest for you today, and this is our first male guest.
Oh
Yay,
wow.
male perspective today. So thank you, Freddie, for coming, and tell me a little bit more about yourself, and then we'll get right into the interview.
Yeah, well, thank you for the intro, and thanks for having me be the first male guest. That's monumental. Um, let's see some bullet points about me. I'm from a small town called Buckingham County in Virginia. One stoplight that's flashing all day long is flashing right now. One of those little towns. Limited resources and whatnot. Very rural country boy. I love nature. I watch the sunrise every single day. I get out in woods and trails, and I just love being outside. But I'm a former college athlete. I'm a former music artist. Wrote a lot of songs, commercials, and whatnot in my day. Lived all over the country, including LA, California, Hollywood, doing some things. Let's see, what else? Bachelor's in radio journalism, Master of Arts in psychology, a second master's in organizational development and leadership,
Mm-hmm.
personal trainer, health coach of 15 years.
Awesome.
And most importantly, my most recent and most, I think, impactful work is being the founder of the Love No Ego Foundation.
Uh-huh.
And Love No Ego, really quick, it just helps youth and young adults ages 10 to 24 just live more in purpose, live from love, live from that human space, that natural intuitive intuition that they have, and give them the courage to be themselves while being aware of all the egotistical crap in the world that kind of induces fear and separation and whatnot. So we have a mentoring program. We mentor about 16 kids a week. And then I travel and speak, and I share the message with people all over the country, the world. I had my first international gig last year.
Awesome.
Yeah, so speaking in the corporate world, even about ego in the workplace, and helping us all just show up as our best selves.
Oh, that's wonderful. You're doing a lot of work, a lot of great things, and I just want to celebrate you as a black male, a black real male role model, doing something positive, giving back to the community. Really, 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 really good job with that. I really appreciate that. So Brittany, let's start with how we're going to talk about self-discovery today. That's
Okay.
going to be the topic for today. Okay, so let's talk about how you define discovering oneself.
Discovery one step.
Oneself. How do
One
you?
oh, discovering oneself.
Yeah.
It's about how I define it. It's about the courage to be you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't be anybody else, and you were born and you were gifted with
Mm-hmm.
some gifts, and it's just a disservice to try to be something else.
Mm-hmm.
So why not maximize you? There's never been any person like you. There's never not a person like you, and never will be. So that says to me that's very discoverable. That's very purposeful. That's very, why not figure that piece out?
Yeah.
So it's
Right.
about, yeah, so it's about having the courage to listen to that intuitive space that you have, and
Mm-hmm.
with all your might, with all your glory, just be that.
Okay. So that's a powerful definition. So
Hmm.
why do you think self-discovery is so crucial to both your personal and business or professional development?
Yeah, because that's so inspiring, because aligning who you are, soft skills,
Mm-hmm.
is very, very important in aligning it with what you do, hard skills.
Right, right, right.
So if you can do that, it's all about the reason why. It's like we want to maximize the human experience. You want the most out of this life. I want the most out of this life.
Mm-hmm.
And the best way to maximize that is by looking at those hard skills, that human part of you that we all celebrate and have. And now, what are you going to do with it? Who are you going to got to give your gift away. Like you can't just get something and keep it and say, oh, it's mine and I can't share it. Love is not that way. Love exudes out, and you have to impact people with
Mm-hmm.
naturally with who you are, and you can do that.
Yeah, and I feel like better it makes who knowing who you are, you make better decisions, and you can be true to your own values and
Mhm.
passion, right? And
Absolutely.
that you'll have greater satisfaction in your personal life and your professional life. That's how I view
Yeah, and you know, you said that you said a key word there, satisfaction, and you'll enjoy the journey. Like so many
it.
people dread the process to achieving the goal, you know?
Yeah.
And I want both. I want to enjoy the process and I want to enjoy accomplishing the goal. And that's how you do it because you're going to
Mhm.
be you and you're going to enjoy being you.
Right. Right. That's absolutely right. So let's dive into the psychological aspects. Can you share some psychological theories that underpin the concept of self identity?
Some theories. You know, I read a lot. Even though I'm not a big research or study
Hmm.
says this, study says that.
Yeah.
I kind of live in my moment. See my watch here, if you can see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It says now.
Now, today, right? This present.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the time is always now. Like if people believe in a creator, believe in a God, like you're it's a human being. It's called that for a reason. Ing is a suffix we learned back in grade school, and it means walking, talking, I'm doing. It means action. And when is that action taking place? Right now. Like, so we can't be here yesterday, we can't be here tomorrow. We can only be here now and today. So my whole theory is about heart-led engagement, like
Mm-hmm.
leading with the heart and allowing this brain, this tool. You
Mm-hmm.
got to use this tool because it's a powerful tool, you know, and
Right.
it,
Mm-hmm.
it, it thinks all day long. It just goes, it just chatters all day long and thinks, and be thankful that it does, it works. But, you know, I always say this is the boss, this is
Yeah.
the boss, this is the employee. This is
Right.
the boss, this is the employee. Employee listens to the boss. And if you can lead with that heart-led engagement and that sort of theory and that sort of process, you're going to make those intuitive decisions. You're not going to be reactive. You're going to be responding.
Mm-hmm.
Your ability to respond to things in a lot more productive and positive way.
Mm. So you think your responsiveness comes more from your thinking or from your emotions? 'Cause when I think of
I,
emotions, I think of the heart, and I
Mhm.
think of when you're acting out of logic, you are maybe opposite emotions. You're coming from your mind. Your mind is telling you the rational thing to do, but your
Mhm.
heart may be saying doing something irrational.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of both, but I think it's the way you said it there.
Mhm.
I think it's the flip side. I think it flips
Mhm.
because I look at it like this. I think because our heart, we can feel pain and emotion. We think it's a quick process. The brain can take a hold of some pain and just
Mhm.
go ahead and tell you what to do.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Like without the brain, you wouldn't know, you wouldn't take some action. But I feel like
Right.
the heart is the core, it's the foundation, and it never ever lies to you.
Mhm. Mhm.
The heart can tell you to do something that's good for you, but your brain will tell you no because the brain might be in the ego. The brain might be trying to get revenge. The brain
Right.
might be overly self-centered. The heart
Mhm.
is just, it just is.
Mhm.
It's just a part of reality. Reality doesn't need us to exist. Like
Mhm.
reality is already real by itself.
Right. Uh-huh.
You know, it's love, it's real, it's intuitive, it does what it does. And that's how we are connected to reality. But we don't always have the courage to listen because the emotions ball up so quick. Boom,
Mhm.
we just
Mhm.
react.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
react. So I think it takes both,
The
of
pain.
course,
Yeah.
because
Mm.
the brain has to say, okay, let's go and fulfill this action that you want to take. And
Mhm.
it takes the body along with it.
Right.
You
All
know,
right.
but
Yeah.
the heart is just, I think it just is.
Mhm.
It just knows.
Mhm. Yeah.
And even when we get hurt, which is an everyday occurrence, it's so what? Somebody hurt me. Okay. It's not
Yeah.
life threatening. It's not life threatening. You know,
Yeah.
I'm still gonna live. I'm okay.
Yeah.
My heartbeat's not going to stop. So with that knowing that I have and I practice every day, I can easily come from the heart and see a tough decision that I need to make
Mhm.
and still have the courage to make it because I know it's good for me.
Right. And that's the thing that we talked about where you have these limited beliefs and your innate nature to protect yourself against things. And it's telling you, this we need that. We need that to the cues to know that something is dangerous. But we not just because something is uncomfortable
Exactly.
doesn't it's not dangerous. It's you have to tell yourself that it's not danger.
It's so funny. We treat fear all the same. It's like me and you have a disagreement.
Mhm.
It's like a bear jumping through this window right now. Like
Mhm.
we treat it all the same. It's like all
Yeah,
life threatening.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
no, me and you having a disagreement is just a disagreement. We're gonna
yeah.
work it out. What's
Mhm.
up? What's going on? How can we get to the
Yeah.
solution?
Mhm.
But everybody's in the world. If you keep listening to the world have you scared of everything.
Right, right, right. Yeah. But
Yes.
yeah. So when I teach young girls too. So I teach them that you may not be this is uncomfortable for you. You may not like being on having this restriction or not being able to go this way or having to be in front of people. But it's not hurting you. You have to stop and tell yourself this is not it's not no danger to me.
Yeah.
I may not like it, but it's not any danger. And so that has helped me get past a lot of limited beliefs and a lot of like initial fears to do things. Just sitting back and looking at it rationally, like,
Yeah.
am I in danger? Is this what am my mind telling me? Is this the truth? So just telling myself like that's not true. And this is not danger has helped me a lot move forward with that kind of just what you were talking about. So
Yeah.
uh-huh.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, and that makes a lot of sense to me. So, moving on, how do you, well, in your early life experiences and your upbringing, how did that shape your sense of self?
I had some great experiences, some challenges. I had the best of both worlds. I thought at one time my dad was a nightclub manager. Uh, by night, he was a mechanic by day. My mom was heavily into the church and
Mhm.
worked in a pants factory and made our clothes. So I would go with my dad, and then I would go with my mom. I go with my dad to the club. I go with my mom to church. So I had like
Mhm.
best of both worlds. Like I'm in the club like 12 years old with my dad. The
Uh-huh.
next day I'm in the church. I'm like, this is just like last night. I was confusing the energy. It was still great energy, but it was like, two different environments. So, and my brother is 10 years older than me. I only have one sibling, one brother. And he was a
Okay.
military guy. So he was very disciplined and hard.
Mhm.
And as a younger brother, all you want to do is beat your big brother in anything.
Mhm.
I don't care what it is. It could be who can drink the Kool-Aid the fastest. It could be
Some-
anything. You're like, I won. I beat Big Brother. So all of that and making me very competitive, involved in sports and all those challenges and domestic things. What made the difference was the communication that I had. Like my mom would set me down and have conversations with me. My older uncles would just give me like life and talk to me. Um, so that shaped me and I was always like curious and into everything creative. I think all of us come into the world like that as kids. We're just naturally happy and curious. We want to find out things.
Mhm.
And I think my family played into that and allowed me to be that and allowed me to make mistakes, allowed me to mess up. And I just figured out that I figured things out by trial and error.
Mhm.
I sat in this chair, the leg was weak, it broke, boom, there's another chair. Let's try that one. Oh, this one worked. So trial and error kind of taught me some things that, this experience is the best experience that I could have. It's just trial and error and trying these things. So I've never been afraid to try stuff. Like
Mhm.
I got a one-way ticket to California. I ended up being there 4 years.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I would try things like that and trust love and trust my intuition and trust that heart led space. And when you're doing that, you're enjoying the journey. And again, it's easier to be happier. It's easier to have faith. It's easier to trust. And things have a tendency to work out when you go that way.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah. So my upbringing shaped me a lot. It just made me very creative, I think, and just realizing some things like, what you were saying earlier, like that's fear. That's love. Like, don't let this fear stop you. That's not life threatening. Enjoy yourself, enjoy the journey. Trial
Mhm.
for that team, trial for that team, write a
Mhm.
song, write music, play the keyboard, play the
Mhm.
drums. And
Okay.
I was into it all. So I think for them, just allowing me to be who I am
Mhm.
was enough.
Yeah, that's awesome. So your family upbringing seems like it brought you more confidence to do. They champion you to do what you wanted to do. Be free to do what you want to do.
Hmm.
And you grew up in a church.
Hmm.
Did you find that when you were going to church that some of your friends, because your family obviously did it a different way, were more fearful of things because of what we've learned in church and
Hmm.
just about the sin nature and doing things like that? I found that to be a lot of my story, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I ran into a lot of that too,
Mhm.
and my mom, who was that rock, would give me that freedom to feel whatever I want to feel and say it,
Mhm.
which gave me the courage to stand up to others in the church or wherever I encountered them, to stand up for what I felt. And
Mhm.
I think like I just really like I like listening to people. I like
Mhm.
listening to like God and love and just intuition. And like I said, I watch the sunrise every day and it speaks to me.
Hey,
And
yeah.
so I always kind of had this little knack for that.
Mhm.
So, you know, people have their own challenges and their own fears, especially
Mhm.
in the church, and they were bringing on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
I remember one time I went to church. I hadn't been to church in a long time. I was living in California and I came back home. I was like, I'm going to church. And me, I work out with people. I'm always in athletic gear most of the time. And so I went from a training session
Mhm.
right to church. And I'm thinking, my church I grew up in, they always say, what, come as you are, come
Come
as
as
you
you
are,
are.
come
Yeah.
as you are. It's all good until you come as you are. So
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
came in there, I had my sweats on, and t-shirt, and my dad was one of the people because he was embarrassed for me and himself. He just like worried about what other people would think.
I would say, yeah.
Yeah, and say, and I never care. Like I invite that conversation. Like, come on over here and talk to me about what I got on, and we can see what God thinks about it. Right. Um, and I found that people start to stay away from me
Mm.
when you give
Mm.
them the truth. Like when you give them the truth and they're not ready
Mm.
for it, they'll come to you, but they'll go another way. They'll go
Yeah.
there unless they're ready to evolve and have that conversation and help us all evolve, me,
Mm.
myself included.
Mhm.
They get scared too because they're already scared
Yeah.
and they go the other way. So I love those kind of conversations, like because it's nothing better than the truth.
Mm. Yeah.
It's nothing better than the truth, even if it slaps me in the face. Like that's
Mhm.
good for me. I welcome that. You know,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah. But
Yes.
I counted a lot of that. I still do sometimes.
Yeah. And so I see what you're saying to me reminds me of essentialism or setting those boundaries about what you're capable of and what you're going to allow people to
Hmm.
come in and on your space. And they know this
Hmm.
is not to come to you with that because you already set the tone for that. You already set the boundary. And a lot of times we don't have healthy boundaries in
Yeah.
life and with our family, with our friends, like with
Mhm.
our people we work with. We don't have healthy boundaries. So
Yeah.
I feel like that was a great example of setting a boundary where you know that you don't approach Freddie with this because he's not about that. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
so they don't know from the gate.
Yeah.
Like,
And I always tell people like I like engaging in conversation. I grew up that way. My mom did it to me. So I like communication. I
yeah,
love it. So, but at the same time, that doesn't mean I'm just going to be persuaded to do something that I don't think is intuitively right?
yeah,
And I tell people all the time too, like the world is just true. Like it's so full of contradictions.
hmm
It's so full of contradictions. I told a church person not too long ago, I said, I'm not necessarily a believer in sin. Like I'm not going to stamp this thing on you and say you're a sinner. A lot of us make errors, we make mistakes. Errors and mistakes can be corrected. But some people have this idea of stamping this thing on you
a
as a
label.
sinner. Yeah, it's a label because we love to label things in society.
Yeah.
And they want to put it on you. And now, like, you have to work so hard to get
Mhm.
it off of you in their
Yeah.
eyes, you know?
Yeah, in your own eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, there's some wrongs, there's some errors, there's some mistakes. Like we live in a world that we say thou shalt not kill.
Right, right.
And then our systems, we have the death penalty.
Yeah.
We kill people all the time,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then guess what? We call it justice.
Right.
We like if someone murdered my mom,
Hmm.
I would be highly upset. I
Right.
truly would.
Yeah.
But it's not going to make me feel any better by me wanting that person to die.
Yeah.
I don't want that person to die. I just don't.
Hmm. Now, if he stays in jail the rest of his life, that's fine with me too.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be like, you got to die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who am
If he
I?
tends to repent
Yeah,
and, get
it
his
does.
yeah.
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 So how does, as a human being, we already know that that doesn't make sense,
Right. Right.
but we still fall into these contradictions of society, and then we take them and throw them on other people and get mad when they don't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. We have to be true to our values.
Hmm.
I feel like we have to have our core values. We need those to live authentically and to experience greater fulfillment in our life. That's how I feel. So, speaking of living authentically, okay, why is emotional intelligence crucial for journeys of self discovery?
It's so important because when you can stay in tune with that emotional intelligence, you already know how to respond to things. You can easily digest what's good for you, what's not good for you, and respond to it so that you're always growing in a way that's healthy for you, it's healthy for the people around you,
Hmm.
and having that intelligence. And I love that it's intelligence. It's called intelligence,
Yeah.
not necessarily emotional knowledge or emotional, like
Mhm.
intelligence is given to you. It's like you have it. You were born with it. It was a gift.
Hmm.
And for us not to pay attention to that is a disservice. So it's highly intelligent. I mean, it's highly important and very critical that we just make the space in such a noisy, and chaotic and transactional world, all the things going on, that we make the space to be. It's
Yeah.
called human being for a reason. Like we got to learn how to be.
Right.
You
Right.
know, if we never learn how to be, our doing is going to be chaotic, and then we're going to be, it's funny. It's like, you're a kid and you spend all this time in mom's belly, 9, 10 months. It's
Mhm.
dark, it's quiet. You naturally use your senses.
Get the bacon there.
Yeah, you get your heartbeat before you get this big old brain that doesn't stop growing until you're like 20, 21. And you naturally use your intuition. You're not afraid of the dark. You kick, and mom invites people over to feel you kick. And then you come out on your birthday, there's fluorescent lights in your face, blinding you with the worst lights possible that, that you could have in an infant's face. There's machines and noise and transactions and stuff and boop, boop, boop. And you start moving. We start moving from one box to the next, meaning the hospital to the car to the house to the room to the crib. Next thing you know, we're in school, we're in that box. Next thing you know, we're at a job, we're in that box. Then we're in this other box in a cubicle. And then we say, hold up, this is not working out. I don't feel fulfilled. I have no purpose. So then we buy, passports and we go on vacation. We look for other places to go. And without even knowing, it's already been given to you, that
Right.
intelligence. And we spend the rest of our life trying to get back to the womb, so to say, try to get that peace.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
if we can recognize with that emotional intelligence that we already have it, we can start living from that.
Yeah. I think we can better navigate our inner world is and maybe even affect our health, be healthier with our healthier relationships and just achieve our self acceptance, accept who you are and what you bring to the table. Right? So
Absolutely.
let's talk about personal experience. Can you share a significant life story that or event that led to you having that defining moment, your own self discovery? You
Mm,
establish, I know who I am. I know
yeah.
who to be.
Ooh, that's been a few of those. Let's see. Um, One of the early ones was I was about 20 years old.
Mhm.
I had been out of high school 3 years, and I was working my butt off, 2 jobs, and I just wasn't being fulfilled. I wasn't filling up this love cup right here, this space.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been sort of athletic and running around. And one of my older friends told me, he's like, man, why don't you go back to school and
Mm-hmm.
play ball? Like you still good. You're still very good, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I said, you think so? He said, yeah. So I started from scratch. I went to the library and I looked up junior colleges around the state of Virginia,
Mm-hmm.
and I applied to all of them, like 7 or 8 schools. And I also sent videotapes of myself
Mm-hmm.
playing ball because I was playing in all these leagues. I sent videotapes of myself to all these coaches of these schools. And I got calls like callbacks, and I went on
Mm-hmm.
visits and everything. And I remember I've been working 3 years now out of school. I had 2 vehicles, I had DJ equipment, music, drums, a lot of stuff. And I went on this one visit to Potomac State College of West Virginia University. And
Mm-hmm.
everything was just lovely. Like I couldn't miss that day. I was meeting the players all over the campus. Coach was cool. He offered me a scholarship right on the spot.
Oh, wow.
So I verbally committed to him.
Mm-hmm.
And on my way back to driving from West Virginia to Virginia, I had said to myself on the way up, there was this beautiful overlook that I passed. And I said, if this goes well, I'm going to stop back at that
Mm-hmm.
overlook on the other side of the highway, just spending some time with myself and give thanks. And it was
Mm-hmm.
dark when I was coming back. And I stopped at that overlook.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was a confirmation
Mm-hmm.
of living in purpose. And when you go for it, like it can happen. Like you just have to go all in.
Mm-hmm.
It's like both. It's like the song says: you put one foot in, you put the other foot in. When both feet are in, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So it was a confirmation and an epiphany moment for me to go for it and listen to my heart and my intuition. I sold everything I had and I went to school. I had one bag and I sold everything I had. I went back to school, and love and life and God has just blessed me tenfold with the things that I sold. Like I had this DJ equipment and stuff I thought was everything. I
Mm-hmm.
sold it, all my records.
Yeah.
Years later, I'm in California and LA producing music and got my own studio.
Okay.
So it's like, like those two time frames and environments like came all the way back to me. And what's so funny and what's so significant about it, things that I did back then, I had no
Mm-hmm.
idea. I was just doing it in purpose.
Mm-hmm. That you
I
do.
still get residual income from the songs and things that I wrote like 20 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I didn't know what residual income was at that time.
Right. You up, right? To prosper later. That's
Yeah,
all.
so that was a key moment, and I was like, I'm never looking back. Let's just go get it.
Mm. So I know you played sports, and you said you played at the collegiate level.
Mhm.
Um, I know it happens to a lot of athletes, but what when you've been playing at a high level? But when did you realize that this is the end of that, and how did you feel?
Yeah, I got hurt. I broke my right ankle one year. My senior year, I broke my ankle,
Mm-hmm.
and since it was only like the third or fourth game in the season, and if you play past 5 games, or if you didn't play past 5 games, you could get a medical red shirt, which
Uh,
means, okay, you get that whole year back because you're injured. So I stayed injured that year, got a medical red shirt, rehab, got my
mm-hmm.
ankle strong, came back as a fifth year senior. It was lovely. I was like, all I really have to do is play basketball. I have to be 4 times. So I took 3 or 4 classes, electives. I'd
Mm-hmm.
already graduated. I was like, this is
Mm-hmm.
gonna be a beautiful year. No stress, no stress academically. I could just ball out. Third game, guess what I do?
Hurt
Injure
yourself.
myself again. Left ankle this time, dislocated. It was all twisted up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was crushed again, but I turned to my writing. I started writing a lot more. Writing,
Mm-hmm.
writing, writing, writing. And that's when the poems
Mm-hmm.
start becoming songs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Songs start becoming like out there in the digital world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what led to me earning income from it. So there was a time where I had to pivot. It was very difficult, but my writing
Mm-hmm.
saved me a lot. Like I was writing songs about basketball and how much I miss it, and people thought I was talking about girls and stuff.
Okay.
Because the way that I engineered the song is like, it seems like of course it was a relationship.
Like a
But
breakup. Mhm.
yeah, yeah, I've been doing it my whole life.
Or mourning the the end of something. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. But you just have to listen to it and see what love is telling you to do.
Hmm.
I'd be curious to do it.
Yep. So you mentioned that pivot. Um, how do major changes like career shifts, say maybe you, because you've had a lot of change in careers where you like, I love
Mhm.
this, I went to school for this, and then it's a change in how did it impact your perception?
I realized that I have to stay in purpose. I think it's important just to stay in purpose, even if purpose calls you to pivot.
Mm-hmm.
At least as we started out this conversation, you're going to be maximizing you and the experience, and you're going to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't have any doubt about anything that I was doing. For each pivot, you
That's
know, for each pivot, I thought I was going to be the best producer ever. Let's
right.
go. Okay. I thought I was going to make it at least overseas playing professional ball, make a decent income and living. I thought I was going to be the best personal trainer of all time. Like, I
Mhm.
just always thought that way. And there's always been a lot of passion and purpose behind if I
Mhm.
decide wholeheartedly.
That I can do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so through those pivots, I tell people, you know how many business cards I've had, like representing different businesses that I've started, and this is the one, you know.
Mhm.
But I can honestly, I don't know. I feel pretty comfortable where I am and excited about the Love No Ego Foundation as a whole, even if I'm not the one doing it, because it has its whole board and it's been rolling for 9 years. Like, I think that'll always exist.
Mhm.
And as long as it involves humans and human behavior, I think I'm attracted to it from my psychology major,
Mhm.
master's. But purpose, if I stay in purpose, is always worthwhile.
Right. Right. The point, the key is you sometimes you're on that journey to find that purpose. Yeah.
Mhm.
You gotta do the work to discover what that is. Yeah. So our experiences, they can often lead to a lot of self-discovery and transformation, reshaping what we thought our
Mhm.
life should be. And it's good when you have a good foundation where that doesn't shake your whole world and you're just at a standstill and you can't you move. But
Mhm.
people like you defining, like me, like you, like they tell me you have 17 jobs. How many businesses do you have? You always feel like you need to pursue, you need to learn more, you need to accomplish more. It's never okay with the status quo. So I feel like that's what drives you and that's what helps you to change when it's time to change you. So you're ready for the change because you know that I'm going to keep improving myself anyway. Well,
Mhm.
that's good about it.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
I keep my life very simple.
Hmm.
So when it's time to change, it's not a lot of things that has to, I
Gotta
don't
change.
have to move a lot of things out of the
Mhm.
way to change. Like my life, if I show you my closet, I could put all of my clothes over one arm. I'm straight. I'm out of here.
Testimony.
I don't have a TV. Like me and my wife, we don't have a TV. We don't even do TV.
I don't watch TV.
Yeah,
I got them, but they just off.
like we don't have TV. We haven't had one in about a decade. When we do watch something, it's like on purpose on the laptop or on the iPad or something. Like we intentionally watch something.
Mhm. Mhm.
Although I post a lot of things about my business and the foundation and stuff, I'm not into the social media thing a lot.
Mhm.
I'm a very, very simple guy. I'm a nature boy. I got hammocks. I stay in my hammock. I go watch the sunrise. I work
Mhm.
with kids. I work with adults. Like, it's either spirituality, education, exercise, community. It's one of those four that I'm involved in on a daily basis, if not all four.
Right. And that's good. It helps you be grounded and know where know what's important, I find.
Hmm.
So let's touch on mindfulness. What role does mindfulness play in your process?
It's big time. It plays a big. It's a big part of everything that I do. Everything that we do, even if people are mindlessly mindful, they're still allowing the mind to do what it does, and it's controlling every behavior, action, thought, whatever. So you might as well try to tune into it, so you can maximize the human experience. But that's why I go out and I watch the sunrise daily. That's why I take walks in nature. I'm on trails. I'm in the mountains. I'm sitting by rivers. That allows my mind and my heart to align together, and
Mhm.
they work together on everything that I do. versus my mind running off
Mm-hmm.
and telling me what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me a moment to be and examine and connect with the thoughts that I want to connect with. Not every thought that I have, I don't even like. I just got to kick it out and let it go and let it pass,
Mm-hmm.
but I have that choice. I have that freedom. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we all do. So we talk about mental health. You want your mental to be healthy. You
Yeah.
cannot you cannot not think of something. So, but you do have the choice to let it resonate or not.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I keep a little bouncer guy in my head, and he can kick out what he want to kick out and keep what he want to keep.
Right. Right. Yeah. Great way of getting clarity, right? And
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And
Mhm.
keeping my life simple too doesn't clutter my mind as much.
Okay. You have like a simple or mindful exercise that you do. You said you got the bouncer. Well, how do you activate that bouncer?
I do I'm also so in my physical personal training health coach world, I've learned a
Mm-hmm.
lot of body alignment exercises. When the body is in alignment, the spine is healthy, you're going to feel pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So I do an exercise every day where I lay out in the floor.
Mm-hmm.
It's 5 minutes minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I lay there for 45 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll set my timer on my phone and I'll throw my phone somewhere across the floor. It goes under the couch. It goes wherever it goes. I don't know where
Mm-hmm.
it goes. That gets my mind off of it and I don't have to look at it. But if I fall asleep, at least it goes off and wakes me up. And I put my legs up the wall and it's like I'm just kind of with my feet up, elevated against the
Mm-hmm.
wall, very well supported, laying on my back and my hips and with my palms up. And it aligns your spine,
Mm-hmm.
allows your shoulders to drop,
Mm-hmm.
and first minute or so, you can be a little restless, but after about 5 minutes, you kind of get into this really nice space,
Mm, okay.
and I just lay there and I lay there and I lay there and allow love to do what it does. The intuition is already there. It's going to
Mm,
do what it does if you create the space for it to do what it can do.
yeah.
But if we're always and going, 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 yeah, we're going to be exhausted. So allowing the space, make space, even if it's hard, even if it's challenging at first, like I can't sit still. I don't know what to do.
Mm,
Just
yeah.
throw your phone over there. Just lay on the floor with a pillow and just stay there.
Mm,
Turn as much as you need to turn, but
yeah.
don't give in. Don't pick up the phone, start
Mm,
swiping. Don't turn on the TV. Look out the window if you need to. Look across the floor. See how dirty your floor is. Like,
Need
like
a
look
desk.
over. Yeah, yeah. Like look over there under the dresser and stuff. Like just be. And
Mm-hmm.
you'll find that after a few minutes, you're like, this is pretty cool. This is
Mm-hmm.
all right here. I like this. And then you'll start that time, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, it'll start growing daily.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing you know, you're like doing 2 hour walks through the woods like I am.
You know, that's discipline. And now people don't like that as a dirty word to a lot of people. But
Hmm.
discipline can be a good thing. Like you're saying, you made your schedule where this is important and you discipline yourself to do it. So,
Hmm.
having a discipline is not a bad thing all the time. It's not. No,
Yeah,
yeah, it's helpful for you. See,
yeah.
hmm so okay. And what advice would you give somebody who's trying to set realistic self improvement goals?
Real advice. This is real as it gets, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Write down where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Write down where you want to be. Right? Now, recognize the gap.
Right.
This is where I am. This is where I want to be. Put in some steps. It's never perfect. People
No.
just it's just never perfect. But if you have where you are and where you want to be, write in some necessary
Mm-hmm.
steps that you think can get you there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You might skip a step, you might not get to a step, but I guarantee you, if you move with that purpose, this is where I am, this is where I want to be, and you wholeheartedly embrace that, you're going to get there, you're going to meet the people, you're going to gain the resources that you need along the way, you're going to pivot. Like I wish like there was a satellite looking at us that we could see from above and look at our steps the last 10 years. You know how we look down on the ground, we see ants moving and taking
Mm-hmm.
bread to each other. I wish we could see ourselves like that for a day.
Yeah.
And then we would see the big picture like, Freddie, why don't you just keep going that way, man? It's going to work out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we don't have that patience We don't have that discipline.
Mm-hmm.
This is an instant gratification world. Like, oh my God.
Inspiration, yeah.
Like, we don't have patience for nothing. Like,
Right.
you set at a green light for a half a second, somebody's gonna be blowing at you.
With attitude, yeah.
Like, Lord, if you inconvenience a person for 2 seconds, it's the end of the world. You
Yeah,
know?
they might try to cause you some
Yeah.
bodily harm.
We don't even know how to wait as human beings. Like, that's why I say be in purpose so you can enjoy your journey. You
Mm,
don't become a butthole. You don't become all resistful and fightful. And
mm-hmm.
like, where are you? Where you want to be? This is what I'm going to do to try to get there. Because we don't know the plan. We
Mm-mm.
don't know how it's going to unfold. And it's not our job to know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just our job to have a vision. And of course, to look at where we are and have a vision and do our best to get there.
Mm-hmm.
God and love's gonna handle the rest.
Mm-hmm.
But we gotta want it. We gotta want it. If you don't want it and you don't believe, you don't have faith, don't expect it to happen.
Right. And then with those goals, we always talk about the SMART goals. We want to set,
Hmm.
but we need to set them goals with our relationships. And I'm talking about all the relationships, like parents,
Hmm.
family members, those cousins, whatever. We set those boundaries. And what do you think is important about nurturing boundaries for a supportive connection with people?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I make sure I have I don't want to call them expectations
Mm-hmm.
or conclusions, but I have things that feed my soul, that brings me joy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I look at things that maybe I could potentially remove that's not. Because
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to waste time or have an added layer of something that's taking my energy and not that I want to be selfish about it. It's just that has no purpose. It's not benefiting me. It's not helping me show up as my best self so I can help others.
Right.
So boundaries are that important. It's just about what's serving you and what's not.
Mm.
But also, people get selfish with that. If it's
Mm-hmm.
not serving me, forget it.
Yeah, that's the attitude. Yeah.
And a perfect example is like I go see my parents. They're still alive. I go see them once a week. That's my thing. That's like I'm gonna go see them once a week. They've gotten older,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like like I'm grateful that they're still here.
Right. Right.
You know, all of my homeboys, my friends, they don't have their parents.
Mm-hmm.
So I have this gratitude. I'm like, I've got to go see them once a week. I set that as a New Year's resolution like 3, 4 years ago, and I've been consistent.
Mm.
You know, um, now they are an hour away in my hometown, which is fine. But I embrace that part. Like I embrace that piece, and I don't mind making time to go do that, even if it takes away from some work I got to do for the foundation.
Mm.
Like that's my downtime. I drove to my parents' house yesterday. I pulled up in the yard. My dad is sitting outside like this, and he's looking at his garden. Just looking at his garden. He's not doing anything else. I'm like, cool. And I couldn't wait to get out of the car, grab a chair, and just sit beside him and see what comes up.
Mm-hmm.
That feeds my soul,
That's a
makes me
blessing.
a better person.
Mm-hmm.
And it helped. He's so happy that I'm spending time with him.
Right.
You know, so that's what's important, and
Mm.
that's part of the boundaries, and that's part of the layers that feed your soul, and then there's some that don't feed your soul.
Yeah. And so you talking about soul. Do you have any like specific spiritual or physiological approaches when you're dealing with this type of situation with your coming to yourself?
Hmm. I have a routine, if you want to call it a routine, that I do daily.
Mm-hmm.
I wake up 3:45 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
every day. Alarm goes off. Sometimes I'm up before it goes off, but that's
Mm-hmm.
my thing. 3:45 a.m. I stretch. It's such a thing. I have my water waiting for me outside my room in the
Okay.
hallway. I have a mason jar full of water, full of ice cubes before I go to bed, so it
Mm-hmm.
melts all night and it's like nice. I get up, I brush my teeth, and so many things have helped me along the way that help me crystallize my morning routine.
Routine. Yeah.
Like I can't drink anything before I brush my teeth.
Okay.
And it's like because I've learned that we have all this bacteria in our mouth as we sleep, and if you drink, you flush the bacteria in your gut. Now your gut's not healthy. So I brush my teeth, wash my face, and do some stuff. And I drink my water. I come here, my yoga mat, it stays on the floor. It's right here on the floor. in this office space I have, it doesn't
Mhm.
leave the floor. It's always on the floor. I hop down on that. I do about 5, 6 exercises. And when I'm done, I sit there and I meditate. I might
Mhm.
pray. I might do something spiritual. It
Mhm.
all speaks to my spirit. I read a chapter in my book that I'm reading every morning.
Mhm.
Uh, and when I'm done with that, then I jump on the computer and I work for an hour or so before the sun comes up. And then I get out and watch the sunrise. So that's what I do every day, 7 days a week.
And that's a routine. And
That's
people
the
that
routine,
just doing like haphazardly is all over the place.
Yeah, and even when I travel, like, I still do it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's condensed, maybe it was 2 hours before the sunrise, maybe now today is an hour before the sunrise. Like, maybe it's just 15 minutes, 20 minutes, but I make sure I'm in my space, and it's nothing I don't know, for me, it's nothing better than getting up early.
Yeah, me too.
You know, and also, and I want people who hear this, it's not that you have to wake up at 3:45. I'm not saying that. And you don't have to get rid of your TV, but you're gonna have to make some time somewhere in your day
Mm-hmm.
so you can maximize your opportunities.
Right.
Whether it's 9 o'clock at night or 3 o'clock in the morning or 12 o'clock in the midday.
Mm-hmm.
My time happens to be 3:45, 4 in the morning. The world is asleep. I'm up. I feel like I got it all to myself. It's quiet, and then I get to see everybody else around when I start the traditional day at 9. I start to hear the world wake up, gets a little busier and busier and busier. And then you see all the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you start to see like, man, we got a lot of transactions going on all the time. It's what a world we've created,
Yeah.
you know?
When you said you read, and I know you write, so
hmm
does journaling? Do you do any type of journaling or
Yeah,
daily?
sometimes I journal, but I write something. Like if I have a thought on my mind about, like this morning I wrote and I talked. I recorded a video about
Mm-hmm.
perception. And I wrote how perception is a choice. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
you if you're looking for it hard enough, you're gonna find it. I don't care what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So if I look for love, I'm gonna find love. If I'm looking for hate, I'm gonna see the hate. If I'm looking for division, I'm gonna see how everybody's divided. It's like where my attention is what I focus, is what I experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah.
wrote about that and also talked about that in the video. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so when I write in a sense that it's like these little passages and messages,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just in a thick book. I write, I close it, and I leave it alone.
Mm-hmm.
Years down the road, I might want to just publish it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I pass on and somebody else reads and like, whoa, this is powerful stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I find myself, I don't really write clear sentences or paragraphs. It's like a bunch of brainstorming, just different notes and sometimes
hmm
doodling on the side, but it helps me get out whatever that thought that I was trying to do. Yeah, so
Right.
and that's some fantastic tips that you give about the morning routine and how you go about your journaling process. That's different than usual too. So can you share some inspiring story about your work with
hmm
the Love No Ego Foundation?
Yeah. When you can help individuals and especially kids who are, for the most part, free. They still have their curiosity, they still creative naturally. The
Mm-hmm.
world hasn't stolen their joy and given them a lot of hard hits. Some of them have, but still uh they're ready to be open and be authentic if you show them that.
Mm-hmm.
So we get so many like just surveys
Mm-hmm.
and just testimonials. I got one yesterday. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to travel and hit the road tomorrow, and I'm going to Denver to speak at a couple of conferences. But I was in the town yesterday, close to where my parents live,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a kid that's in the other town over that's in our program who wasn't expecting to see me as his mentor yesterday. So I text grandma. I said, "Grandma, you guys at home?"
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I'm gonna stop by and see what you call him, and he can come on outside. He can go jump in the van with me. We can go do something for an hour." But she was just like, "Oh my God, this is," when I just told him, he just lit up. He's so excited to see you and he can't wait. And she was just like, "Thank you for everything you have done." Like, since you've come into our lives, like his depression is down. He's not even on medication. He doesn't even care about the medication. He's living more intuitively, not in his fear and yesterday and tomorrow, but today. And just to have that, just to see that impact and receive that feedback, it's like, this is why, I allow love to do what it does, to use me, or if you want to call it using me. It's just, I think that's what we're naturally supposed to be doing anyway. So to
Mhm.
get those testimonials and feedback, it's like, yeah, this is what I want to stay in tune with. I don't want to do it because I need to make this amount of money or something.
Yeah. Hmm.
I know if you have purpose, if you have an impact and you have love, like it's gonna pay you in more ways than one.
Yeah. And that work is important. You can help them gain the confidence they need and
Mhm.
be to pursue those dreams that they have, and help them to establish dreams. Some of the
Yeah,
people we work with, they don't see past right here, like basic needs. And
yeah.
it's, that's incredible. Yeah. And
I have kids waking up with us. We have about 6 mentors. We service about 17 kids a week. We have about 3 to 5 of those kids waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning
mm,
and going with us to watch the sunrise and have conversations. you
mm,
know, that's big for them to get up on their own at 4 a.m., get dressed, handle their business, be at the door waiting, and we go out in nature, watch the sunrise. We do some love no ego exercises and stuff, physical exercises as well as like
yeah.
intuitive exercises and cognitive exercises. But to have that is like is really cool. It's like these
Mhm.
kids are running out of the house at 4 o'clock in the morning talking about love and intuitive spaces and
Something
being the best self.
countercultural, yeah. They-
Yeah, and that's awesome.
They're never gonna forget that. They're gonna remember that. I remember those type of things that happened when, like, I'm telling you, I was always in the church, chained to the pew, so everything is gonna go back to the church. Those type of relationships with not just my dad, but other men in the church, spending time. I remember those times. They poured into me
Mm-hmm.
and made me the person I am today. I'm very grateful for that. So I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of times kids don't have that strong male role model, and I feel like it's very important for boys, but it's also important for girls to have the same thing.
Yeah, and we talked about discipline. That's the best way. They naturally
Hmm.
learn and be disciplined.
Hmm.
It's the people who struggle with discipline who hasn't had those sort of relationships and routines established.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, discipline. It's oh man, it's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
for you and I who have built such relationships and had the goodwill of having great people around us and actually listening and trying some of the things they're saying, we get up and go. It's time to go.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that, when you even saying that, that helps me to have more compassion for those people, because no, they didn't have an
Mm,
situation, you know. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, good point.
Yeah. So that's what we have today. You have a lot of experiences. You're a former athlete, musician, counselor. All of this play a big part in your self discovery, and just grateful that you were able to stop by and share your insight and your experiences with us. I really thank you for letting us know about your personal lives, dive into who you are, your psyche, and we appreciate you coming to the Shape Your Truth podcast. And if you would like to tell us whatever you want to tell us, what you got coming up, and so we can try to share with our audience.
Yeah, a lot's coming up. We got an annual golf tournament coming up in September. I travel and speak. I'm speaking at the United States Bartenders Guild next week. I'm also speaking at a recovery leadership summit next week. I travel and speak and share this message about ego, and try to get people to live more intuitively, live from their natural love space. And I give them ways to actually facilitate that and practice that and show up as their authentic selves, personally as well as professionally. So check out Love No Ego, LOVENOEGO.org. That's the nonprofit and the foundation.
Yeah,
You can check out Mr. MRLOVENOEGO, MrLoveNoEgo.org. That's me and my journey again all over the world and sharing this message. A kid gave me that name, which was super awesome. Uh, I have 2 books, Love No Ego, Where Are You Living From, that I wrote.
Uh-huh.
highlights all those spaces we make decisions from and why: love space, ego space. And I also have a second book called The User's Manual. And the
Mm.
whole theme behind that is we know how a lot of things work. Like, look at us, we're on a computer, we can talk to each other. I know how it works, I know how my phone works. But do you know how you work? Do you have a manual to you? So
Mm.
I share my 20 principles that I practice to kind of help us all show up as our best selves. Everything from eating to sleeping, from
Okay. Yeah.
spirituality to education, exercise, everything to live in purpose. And all that's available on the website, mrlovenoego.org.
Okay. Get both of the books on mrlovenoeagle.org.
They
And
are.
we got some, he might be coming to your town, so you might want to go hear him speak. Go out there and support. We hope our listeners can go support you. And what book are you reading right now so that we can,
I'm reading A Course in Miracles.
A Course in Miracles?
Yeah. I've read that book probably 6 times.
Mm-hmm.
It's very thick, but you can pick it up at any given time and it's going to give you something solid. Course in Miracles. I just finished which one was it? Breathe.
Uh-huh.
Breathe by James Nestor.
Okay.
And it's all about breathing. And if we're in this constant exchange with the universe.
Yeah, the breath work.
We're in this constant exchange with the universe. In, out, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. We take it for granted almost until we can't, right? And he highlights that. And this guy healed himself, all the ailments that he had and diseases through just breathing,
Mm-hmm.
just through breathing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've increased my lung capacity. I could take off running now and probably I'll just run for days
Mm.
because I've learned to breathe like through my nose when I started, and my lung capacity expands and has grown over the years just by breathing through my nose and keeping my mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
Things
Mm-hmm.
like that they talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always reading Course in Miracles, and then there's always a parallel second book that I might be reading.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
Course in Miracles is always my go-to. I read a piece every
get
day.
out of there, huh?
Yeah, and these I have it all sectioned. These are what I've read. This is what I haven't read yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's awesome. I like to look into that breath work. I'm really into hydration and fasting. So I'm
Mhm.
maybe adding that breath work component, maybe get some more oxygenation to
Yeah.
our blood in our cells. May help.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Breathe by James Nestor.
By James Nestor. Yeah, we got
Mhm. Great book. Great
that.
book.
All right. I hope you can come back and maybe we can talk more about starting that foundation or the nonprofit or whatever you're doing and
Mhm.
let our listeners know about that from scratch from a business perspective. Okay.
Absolutely.
Uh, thank you so much. I really enjoy your company. Nice talking to you, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Bye.